Power of the Duelist is a core booster set in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. Released worldwide on August 16th, 2006, it introduced a couple archetypes, including aliens and Neo-Spacians. To pair with the Neo-Spacians was a new elemental hero that would become Jaden Yuki's second ace monster in the GX anime. Elemental hero, Neos! I always gotta do the Jaden impression if I do that. Besides the new stuff, there was more support for archetypes like the Roids, elemental heroes, and destiny heroes. I think this list has the biggest range of normal to weird we've ever had in one of these videos. We start out grasping for straws, but end up in some unsettling and downright bizarre places. But I'm not going to spoil too much, so let's dive into the top 10 weirdest monsters in Power of the Duelist. Starting off the list at number 10 is Decoyroid. Decoyroid is a wind level 2 machine effect monster with 300 attack and 500 defense with this effect. While this card is face up on your side of the field, your opponent cannot select a face up monster as an attack target except Decoyroid. Look, I know this thing isn't super strange, but the monsters later in the list are pretty damn weird. The reason this thing is weird at all is the fact that while it is a Roid monster, it doesn't have the typical art style of the others. No big cartoony eyes, no humanoid limbs. It's just an RC car. I guess it fits the theme of the name and effect, since maybe it's not a true Roid monster, but a distraction that they use to shy away from the fact that the Roids suck ass. Also in theme with the archetype is that its effect has no synergy with the other cards, just being its own standalone effect. But that's all I really got to say about this little guy, so let's move on. And up next at number 9 is Neo-Spacian Aquad Dolphin. Neo-Spacian Aquad Dolphin is a water level 3 warrior effect monster with 600 attack and 800 defense with the following effect. Once per turn, you can discard one card, look at your opponent's hand, and choose one monster. If you control a monster with attack greater than or equal to the attack of the chosen card, destroy the chosen card, and if you do, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. Otherwise, take 500 damage. Card that was actually played, alert. Card that was actually played, alert. Now, at first, no, Aquad Dolphin was absolutely not a playable card. But come the Goki archetype, along with cards like Isolde, Two Tails of the Noble Knights, and since every deck was and still is running Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, this thing had its time to shine, being able to be splashed into one of the best decks of that time since it was a warrior for Isolde, and the fact that it could pop an Ash Blossom in your opponent's hand before doing your searches was just the right time for our boy over here to get some playtime, mostly due to Neo-Space Connector. But onto why it's on the list. I mean, the whole Neo-Spacian archetype is just a hodgepodge of weird monsters to begin with, but what makes Aquad Dolphin probably the weirdest is just his artwork. He's a humanoid dolphin superhero thing that just gives off uncanny vibes. It may not look weird in cartoon format, but if you saw this thing hanging out at the beach IRL, you'd be unnerved at the least, and shitting your swimsuit at most. But in the grand scheme of things, he ain't too wacky, so he only gets a lower spot on the list. And at number 8 on the list is Elemental Hero Flare Neos. Elemental Hero Flare Neos is a fire level 7 warrior fusion effect monster with 2500 attack and 2000 defense, which requires Elemental Hero Neos plus Neo-Spacian Flare Scarab as materials to fusion summon, and has an effect that reads, must first be special summoned from your extra deck by shuffling the above cards you control into the deck. You do not use polymerization. This card gains 400 attack for each spell or trap card on the field. During the end phase, shuffle this card into the extra deck. Of all the Neos fusion monsters in this set, I think Flare Neos is the weirdest. Why? Well, for two reasons. One being shared by all the Neos fusions, which is the interesting summoning condition, as well as the downside of going back into the extra deck at the end of the turn, really selling the contact fusion that was only really experimented with in the VWXYZ archetype. But why this guy is above all the others is the artwork. While he is pretty badass looking, he also has a creepy and, just like Aquad Dolphin, kinda uncanny look. Anytime there are humanoid versions of animals, I will always be a little weirded out. And this guy would honestly be my fiance's worst nightmare. Being an insect, which she hates, and a person, which to some extent she hates too. Mostly joking about hating people, by the way. She just has a low social battery. But yeah, despite all of that, he's still more cool to me than weird, so he occupies this lower spot. And at lucky number 7 on the list is Chrysalis Dolphin. Chrysalis Dolphin is a water level 2 fish effect monster with 400 attack and 600 defense, whose effect says, by tributing this card while Neo-Space is on the field, special summon 1 Neo-Spacian Aquad Dolphin from your hand or deck. God, I remember having all these Chrysalis monsters as a kid, and even back then, when I had basically no concept of what was meta, knew they were just pack filler doo-doo ass cards. But as kind of the baby version of Neo-Spacian Aqua Dolphin, it felt right to put this thing on the list as well, but at a higher spot, due to it being an animal that normally doesn't use chrysalises, being confined in one, waiting to metamorphose like a damn caterpillar. It is pretty cute and isn't really uncanny like its older counterpart, since it really is just a small pink dolphin. All in all, while not the strangest monster in the set, we are starting to get to the weirder ones. And at our number 6 spot is Ris the Starbird. Ris the Starbird is a wind level 3 winged beast effect monster with 800 attack and 800 defense with the following effect. This card gains attack equal to the level of the monster that it battles times 200 during the damage step only. If this card attacks, it is removed from play at the end of the damage step and returned to your side of the field in face-up attack position at the beginning of your next turn's battle phase. I always get this thing confused with a much better monster, Ris the Star Beast, you know, naming and such. But this thing is actually pretty weird in a couple aspects. One being the artwork. It's some sort of divine bird with not only real wings, but a set of metal wings as well, along with the armor it wears, which I would think would all culminate to weigh it down, but I guess not. Plus, it has this long-ass tail made of what looks to be hair instead of feathers. Its effect is also pretty unique to this card specifically, gaining attack based on another monster's level of all things, and being banished until your next battle phase if it attacked that turn. It's not a very good card unless you like playing a really low-powered sealed format, but that's beside the point. And about halfway through the list at number 5 is Black Terra. Black Terra is a wind level 3 dinosaur effect monster with 1000 attack and 500 defense, whose simple effect reads, if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard except by being destroyed by battle, return it to the hand. Alright, now we're getting into some bizarre looking motherfuckers. Unlike Black Stego, also in this set, Black Terra is actually, you know, black. Not only that, but he's way more demonic looking than your average dinosaur, having wicked looking spikes and claws, super sharp yellow teeth, and blood red eyes. Besides the artwork and being scary and weird, the effect is also a bit different than the usual floating effect, needing to be sent from the field to the graveyard by anything other than battle, which a lot of floaters require instead. It's mostly at a middle spot due to the artwork just being absolutely batshit crazy. And up next at number 4 is Flying Saucer Musiki. Flying Saucer Musiki is a light level 5 machine effect monster with 1000 attack and 2000 defense with this effect. While this card is face up on the field, you can select and add 1 alien card from your deck to your hand instead of conducting your normal draw during your draw phase. Now here's the type of shit I like to see in these videos. Some otherworldly object that is part machine, part organic, that doesn't really exist anywhere in real life yet. This alien archetype support card, while not super good, could really help out the consistency in an otherwise pretty shitty deck. The main fact though is that it needs to be tribute summoned or special summoned in some other way, survive a turn, then you can get its search effect. But the artwork is what really gets it this high on the list. It's pretty Lovecraftian in nature, and that's always been my favorite form of horror, especially in a children's card game like Yu-Gi-Oh! It's got weird eye-like orbs on both the top and bottom sections, and the bottom part even looks like an alien face. Not to mention the name, Flying Saucer Musiki. I'm assuming Konami just came up with random alien sounding words for the non-alien, at least in name, alien support monsters. But this one isn't even the highest alien support card on the list. But let's continue on, shall we? And at our number 3 spot is Destiny Hero Double Dude. Destiny Hero Double Dude is a dark level 6 warrior effect monster with 1000 attack and 1000 defense, whose effect says, cannot be special summoned. This card can attack twice during each battle phase. During your standby phase, if this card was destroyed since your last standby phase, you can special summon 2 Double Dude tokens, warrior type, dark, level 4, attack 1000, defense 1000. This card must be in your graveyard to activate and to resolve this effect. Oh, shit. You mean I get 2 dudes for the price of 1? Sign me the hell up. But anyway, we finally have the Destiny hero representative on the list, and pretty high up if I may add. There are several reasons I put this guy, or these guys, on the list. For one thing, the stats don't really match the level, really belonging to a high-statted level 3 monster, which is half the level of this card, mind you. And I don't think the effect makes up for the level discrepancy. The fact that it can't be special summoned is all you really need to know that this card is mostly ass, since you need to tribute summon a monster with 1000 attack and defense that can attack twice and has a slow token generating effect, which probably will just do nothing in the end anyway. I guess buffing it with equip cards can result in high damage output since he has no restrictions on what he can or can't attack. Most of these double attackers can't attack directly, so I'll give him some props. But another reason he's on the list and at such a high spot is, yet again, the artwork. It's both cool as hell as well as intimidating and super bizarre. I'm assuming this is some sort of Jekyll and Hyde type of situation going on here. You've got this well-dressed gentleman that still gives me the creeps, holding a cane or staff of some sort, hiding his mouth with a scarf, who looks to maybe have his own dark powers. Then behind him you have what seems to be his beastly unleashed form, looking ghostly until he releases the rage inside. This could also be a Hulk reference, to be honest. All of this culminates into quite the strange monster, deserving of this higher spot on the list. And the runner-up spot on our list at number 2 is Cosmic Horror Gangiel. Cosmic Horror Gangiel is a light level 7 reptile effect monster with 2600 attack and 2000 defense with the following effect. If you're tributing a monster on your side of the field that is owned by your opponent, this card can be normal summoned with 1 tribute. Once per turn, you can place 1 A counter on a monster on your opponent's side of the field. If a monster with an A counter battles an alien monster, it loses 300 attack and defense for each A counter during damage calculation only. This is a and cosmic horror, alright, Jesus. I did say a little earlier that Musiki wasn't the only alien support monster on the list, so, well, here's the other one. God damn, this thing is an abomination, but in the best way possible. From the face that's mostly a mouth with crooked teeth, to the many tentacles and legs, each of the legs having some sort of metallic armor on them, to the fact that it looks like it might be some amorphous blob that can transform itself if need be. I just can't see why it wouldn't make the runner-up spot on this list. It's a fact is really nothing to write home about, especially for a boss monster. But yeah, not much else needs to be said. So let's hop on over to what I think is the strangest monster in the set. And the winner of the weirdest monster in Power of the Duelist goes to Belon. Belon is a water level 6 reptile effect monster with 2400 attack and 1000 defense, whose effect reads: during battle between this attacking card and a defense position monster whose defense is lower than the attack of this card, inflict the difference as battle damage to your opponent. Bro, you probably didn't think we could get any weirder, but here we are, staring into the terrifying face of what I can only assume is one sadistic Konami employee's idea of how they could scare kids the most on one card. This time, it's all about the artwork, people, since its stats and effect are pretty average. We have this dragon snake demon with what looks like a normal length body, but a disproportionately long neck, devil horns, one unblinking yellow and red eye, and one of the scariest looking mouths I've seen on a Yu-Gi-Oh card to date, having 2 sets of teeth, one set lining the outside being sharp and yellow, more like I'd expect from a monstrosity like this, and the other, which ironically are more disturbing despite being more human-like, inside the mouth, and just making the whole thing super uncanny. I have no words, folks. If you can think of a weirder monster in the set, I challenge you to let me know. I just don't want to look at this thing anymore, so I'm done with this fucking entry. Well, folks, what did you think of this list? Quite the roller coaster, huh? Real quick, it was brought to my attention by Jonko Splonko, nice name, on my last video on the set that I completely missed Shadow of Infinity earlier in the year. So next time we see each other, we'll actually be going back in time a bit to discuss that set. Thanks for your understanding. But that's it for my time, guys. Remember to like the video, subscribe if you're new here to become a subscriber, and make sure to become one of my channel members to get perks like early video access if you can afford it. And make sure to let me know what you think the weirdest monsters are in Power of the Duelist. And I will see you guys next time.